Okay, Dr. Mossy here. We are going to go through a quick tutorial on making a Bohr model. Remember, a Bohr model is a diagram that represents atomic structure. So we're going to be determining and placing all of the subatomic particles, which means we're going to be looking for and figuring out protons, neutrons, and electrons, and then placing them in the appropriate place on a diagram. 3 steps to make a Bohr model. Number one, the first thing you need to do is actually figure out how many protons, neutrons, and electrons they are. Then you build the Bohr model from the middle out. So you start with the nucleus, you place the protons and the neutrons in the nucleus, and then you build out the electrons into the appropriate energy levels. And that's what I'm going to go through now. In order for you to understand how to make a Bohr model, you need to understand the element key. This is the element key. The element key is the box on the periodic table that has all of the information related to it. So you really need to understand what's going on over here. There's two main numbers you need. The number above the symbol, which is called the atomic number. That tells you directly the number of protons. So lithium has 3 protons. Okay. Now, we talked about in class that since protons are positive and electrons are negative, but atoms as a whole are neutral, you have to have equal number of positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons. So therefore, lithium has 3 electrons. To find the neutrons is a little bit more complicated. You need to use the number down here, which we talked about in class as being the atomic mass. The atomic mass is the average mass of all the naturally occurring isotopes. In order to use that number to find the most common amount of neutrons in a particular atom, you have to round and subtract. Round and subtract. You take the 6.94 number, you round it to 7, then you subtract the number above the symbol, the atomic number. So round and then subtract, round and subtract. When you round it, it becomes the mass number. Mass number for this element, lithium, is 7. Subtract the atomic number, which in this case is 3, and you get the number of neutral neutrons, which is 4 neutrons. Okay, before we move on to making it, let's just go over one more real quick. Okay, so this is your periodic table. Let's take sodium. Okay, so sodium, that number right there is the atomic number. So this has 11 protons. Because protons are positive, it will also have 11 electrons. Now, to find the neutrons, you have to round and subtract. Round and subtract. So you take this number over here, the 22.9 rounds to 23. 23 minus 11 is 12 neutrons. So this is the information you would need to build a Bohr model for sodium. Okay? Now let's get back to lithium. We determined that lithium had 3 protons, 3 electrons, and 3 neutrons. So we're going to build the Bohr model from the inside out, from the nucleus out. So step number 2 is to build the nucleus. Okay, to build the nucleus, you just draw a circle, and then you just put in the protons and the neutrons. Now, you can do it like this, where you have P equals 3. You can also just go P3 and 4. You could also do 3P 4N. All of these 3 are acceptable in this class in terms of building the nucleus. Okay, so once you're done building the nucleus, now you need to actually build the energy levels. Okay, there's rules. Okay, energy levels are drawn as circles around the nucleus. So you draw circles around the nucleus, and electrons are placed in the energy levels. But you can't just add all of the electrons into one level. You have to remember the rule, and these are your rules. The first level is filled up with 2 electrons, and then all other levels for us are 8 electrons. Remember, we cannot make any Bohr model past calcium. Okay, so that's how it works. So I'm just going to show you the completed Bohr model for lithium, and then we'll practice by making the Bohr model for sodium, okay? So this is the complete Bohr model for lithium. So we started with our nucleus over here, right? We had 3 protons and 4 neutrons in the nucleus. Then we had to put 3 electrons in. We can't put all 3 electrons in the first energy level. So the rule is you have to fill up the level, then add another. Okay, so you can't just put all 3 electrons in the first level. You can only put 2 in the first level. So if you placed 2, you have 1 left over. That will fit in the second level because you can have up to 8. Okay, so let's create some space here and let's make our sodium. So to remind you, we already went to the periodic table and figured out that it has 11 protons, 11 electrons, and 12 neutrons. So let's just write that down. It has 11 electrons, it has 11 protons, 11 electrons, and it has neutrons are 12. Now, to build the sodium atom, you start in the center. So you put in the center, which is the nucleus, and the 2 subatomic particles that go in the nucleus are the protons and the neutrons. Now, you have 11 total electrons to place. Can you put all 11 electrons in the first energy level? No, the maximum number that fits is 2. So if you had 11 and you placed 2, you have 9 left over. 11 minus 2 is 9. Can you put all 9 in the second level? Well, no, you can't because the maximum number that fits is 8. So you place 8, giving you 1 left over. Will the next electron fit in the third level? Absolutely. You can put up to 8. So this is the completed Bohr model for sodium. Hopefully that helped. Good luck.